It's Ray again, and it's time for number 90 through 81 of my favorite 100 games. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. You know the drill. I'm going to pull some things out here and tell you a little bit about each one and why I like it. So the first one up on the bat is Viticulture. This is number 90. This is from Stonemaier Games. It just came out in 2012, and it's a worker placement game, but it's not like more traditional worker placement games and where you just place a guy and you keep moving forward. This one you get a set number of workers that you'll have to split across two phases, and so you need to choose whether or not you want to have some people working in the spring or harvesting in the fall, and setting up that economy of planting, harvesting, and crushing grapes to make wine is how this game works. You can either sell it for money to get more things, or use those complete orders to get victory points and then win the game that way. Uh, this is number 90. It was a great first entry by Stonemaier Games. However, I've got Tuscany in the back room, and I'm sure once I start playing that, this is going to move up, especially too since this is the original edition, so I don't have my grinding meeples going on for me, but Jamie took care of that with the Tuscany pack. Anyway, Viticulture, number 90. Number 89 is an oldie but a goodie, and here it is in its reprinted form, Res Publica Reiner Knizia. This is a set collecting game where you are trading, and then as you trade to get more cards of certain types, you get to draw more cards as you get these books, and then there's some advanced civilization cards as you go along. This is it's set collection, plus it's also trading with folks, and you're giving alternate communications because there are very specific rules on how you can trade. So you either say, I want to get something, or I have something to give up, and that's the only clue that you're giving away, and the other players then will have to feed off that and make a deal with you or not. And so a lot of it is you're trying to keep information hidden in your hand by the clues or the bids that you put out when you make trading. Again, it's one of Reiner's ways that he has incorporated alternative communication that makes a fantastic game. That's Res Publica, my number 89. Number 88 is Core Worlds. This is Andrew Parks. This is deck building. It's more of a very epic, grand scale here, as you can see, with this large ship. It is a longer deck building game in that there are several rounds, phases, and so there's only cards that you have available for a very short amount of time that you can use to tune or make your deck better. And also, too, the way that you take cards out of your deck is at very specific times when you colonize. The Galactic Orders made this even a lot more streamlined in terms of when you can take things out of your deck. However, again, it is a good immersive, it's a weighty experience. For a deck builder, you might be surprised. I'd say this is a heavy game because there are a lot of things going on in it. This is published by Stronghold, and it's by number 88, Core Worlds. Number 87 just came out last year on Kickstarter from James Ernest. Get Lucky. It's a reimagining of his famous Kill Dr. Lucky game, but in card form. And it goes by very fast. The 20 minutes on the box there is very accurate. Even if you're playing several players, you go through and you play the cards instead of having this big, elaborate map. The cards are the rooms and the weapons, and you go through. And of course, if you remember how that game works, you're trying to suck out all of the luck or how Dr. Lucky stays alive throughout the game by avoiding your tight hat or other objects in the house to make it a murder attempt. It's very fun. It's even got a little puzzle inside of it thanks to Kickstarter backers. It's still, if you can find this or get a chance to play it, it's definitely worth your time. It's my number 87. It's Get Lucky. Number 86 is an oldie but goodie, Coloretto. It's Michael Shack. You might know him more from Zularetto, but I don't have that. It's not going to be on this list, spoiler alert. But if you're going to play a Retto game, Coloretto is a good substitute. It's just about collecting colors, but you want to get a diversity. You want to, but you don't want to get too many. I believe it's the best two. If you have two colors, you score for the most of those. Once you start having colors in excess of three, then you start incurring penalties. You just, and it's a pile system. You either add to piles or you take a pile when you're happy. It's a very fun game because, again, if you think I can take all these cards, you're going to start taking multiple colors and really rack up the negative points. Michael Shack, my number 86, Colorado. Number 85 is a bigger box game here. It's at the Gates of Lang. It's the first of Yui's Harvest Trilogy cycle, and it's a very interesting sort of card-based game where you have fields that you're planting and you have your own supply of things. So if you're familiar with the Agricola system, you do plant things, you harvest them, but then you're trying to collect, you're trying to make specific orders and send them to merchants. And it's got this interesting system because it's a contract basis. You have to plan that you're going to deliver these orders every turn, but you can finagle on that. And then, of course, there's action cards. And it has this interesting sort of card drafting mechanic where you choose to reveal or not reveal and then let your opponent get them. It has a lot of interesting things that really haven't been touched upon since. And it's just an interesting game. It does take a little bit of time, and considering some of Yui's other entries, you may not have enough time for this one, but do try to find the time. It's my number 85, Gates at the Gates of Lang. Number 84 is Dominion. And Dominion, I almost did not put this in the list because it's sort of where deck building begins. There wasn't a deck building genre before Dominion, and really, it's a great example of what the whole genre could be. But I think for me personally, over time, it got stale, and as you see, there's Core Worlds and there's going to be other deck builders on this list. But if you're new to it, if you haven't seen this before, again, you're building your deck. It's not like a collectible game where you bring your deck with you at the start of the game and you already have these strategies figured out. No, you reveal the cards. There's 10 cards that you can choose from, and then you build your deck over time. And again, people who once you get used to this, it can be easily broken. There are combinations that are broken, but again, it's broken for everybody, so it's pretty fair. However, it does get very much into the, well, there's one optimal strategy for this set of 10 cards, so I better take it. And that's really the biggest flaw with fixed pile deck building games. But you got to start somewhere, and boy, did this start somewhere. It's Dominion. It's my number 84. Number 83, now, this is a game that is not in print. This is Before I Kill You, Mr. Bond. Now, MGM, please stop, don't shoot. You might also know this as James Ernest's totally renamed spy game, okay? But the idea is just very simply, you're an evil mastermind, you're trying to go and lure spies into your den and then kill them. However, you're an evil mastermind and you can't just simply just pull out a gun, pull a lever on a trap. Oh, no. You need to enjoy the victory a little bit by taunting the spy. And so the taunt cards, there's a paired set, I think it's A through K, and so once you finally build a lair that can hold, or a den that can hold one of these spies, then you go and you may taunt them to try to double their points. And then, of course, the stronger spies are worth more points. You can do this. So the thing is, too, when somebody taunts, you can either hold back that card and know, I might get more points later because this is a guaranteed one, or then you can foil the other person's attempt by playing the other card, and the spy blows up their lair and they have to start all over again. It's a lot of fun, and it also included this mechanic of the spies are different colors than all the rest of the cards, so you know when a spy kind of is coming, or you know when somebody has a spy. So that was a really neat thing, especially for when this was printed. It's Before I Kill You, Mr. Bond, or James Ernest's totally renamed spy game, and it's my number 83. 82 is a hefty sucker. This is Parthenon, Rise of the Aegean. This is Andrew Parks and Jason Hawkins, and this really unlike a lot of exploration building, civilization building games, there's a lot of hard fought struggle in this. If you want to go trade with other civilizations, you have to put your stuff on a boat and hope it gets across to the other side of the ocean. Meanwhile, there's other people trying to attack them, or once you get there to the harbor, you're going to have to pay fees to actually go and do trade. But then, if you bring something over to a place that's common in your area, but it's a luxury in another area, that's where you make your money. That's where you really start to increase your empire. Or you have to go to different places that are maybe far away if you need armies, if you need a certain material, especially if one of those players, because this is one of those games that goes up to 6, but there's only certain civilizations for each grouping of players, so they figured out which civilizations to leave out, so sometimes everybody's going to have to go and make the journey across to get the resource that they need. It was actually put together as sort of a group exercise, trust building, workplace building, and they evolved the game out of it, and actually it's pretty neat. It's Parthenon Rise of the Aegean, number 82. Number 81, the last one in this list, is one that's probably pretty familiar if you're watching this. It's Carcassonne. It is for most people, it's the quintessential tile laying game. You stick your guys down, you connect roads, you make these little cities, castles, and then if you want to get tricky, you can lay a guy down and make a farmer's field, and that becomes a topology exercise for many folks of trying to figure out when you can stick one of those guys down or when you can to your greatest benefit or steal on somebody else's field that they've started. It is definitely full of luck. It actually, if you didn't remember, it was actually made into an Xbox game, an Xbox arcade game when they were starting to think that maybe board games would be cool on the Xbox. And so I think a lot of people have seen it that way. It's been everywhere. There's lots of expansions. This is just the base game. This is all I have, and really it stands up very, very well by itself. Carcassonne is my number 81. So that's another 10 games down. Another 10 games down in the collection. I hope you enjoy enjoying these videos. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @InstGameReview. Thanks for watching. God bless. We'll see you next time.